Tokyo Game Show is always a massive spectacle for the public. It's all these booths trying to clamor with various lights and noises, trying to get your attention and hold on to it as long as they can. And TGS 2015 was no exception. This is my second TGS, and by far the coolest thing I saw this year was for the Capcom booth. They had a section for Umbrella Corps, which they just announced, and there was all these guns on display, and you could actually shoot them in a shooting range. They were pellet guns, but here, those pellets are metal. They're doing some damage. I couldn't believe they even got away with putting that in the booth. But you get in line, and basically they give you these plastic goggles to put on, and they let you have one of the guns actually from the game. I had a Beretta, and you shoot it at these zombie placeholders, and as you shoot them, they kind of fall down, and it gives you a pretty nice feeling to shoot a gun at an event like this. Something I've never done before, certainly. It definitely held my attention. And it's amazing just to have like 20 bullets to kind of shoot as many zombies as you can. It was a very unique experience that I've never ever had, not just at TGS, but any event ever. Never shot a gun before.
I love every chance to come to Tokyo, and the Tokyo Game Show is so much fun, even though some of the games maybe aren't what we might see at E3 or other events. And I really can't even just choose one thing. Two of my favorite things were Grand Blue Fantasy. It's a game that I'd never even heard of, and it's just a mobile game, but the setup, the stage that they had for it, this massive airship, I mean, it was obviously designed by the team behind Final Fantasy, and it's called Grand Blue Fantasy. But here it's just a mobile game, but the booth for it was larger than the entire space for Sony. Like, just seeing that booth made me want to play this free-to-play mobile game. But that wasn't the only thing that was fun. I also finally got a chance to try out Summer Lesson, which I don't think was a new demo. It's something we'd heard about before, but it was for the newly dubbed PlayStation VR, formerly the Morpheus. And I know I'm already a VR convert. I love getting to try VR in its different forms, and it's still missing like being able to interact with things when you touch something and it doesn't touch you back. Like, it still kind of takes you out of the moment, but Summer Love, like the way that the graphics look, it's just so incredibly realistic that when this person that you're standing next to kind of leans in and they're like, hey, how do I read this? Like, you're being her Japanese teacher, like you almost expect to feel her head like touching right next to yours. Like, the graphics on it just make it look so amazing, so realistic. And those are just some of two of my most favorite things from TGS this year.
So this was my first TGS. I've never been here before, never been to Tokyo before. It was really overwhelming, and there were so many cool games to play, but my absolute favorite thing was the Trico wall. The developers of The Last Guardian set up this screen installation where you could walk up to the screen and interact with Trico, who's the big bird dog monster from The Last Guardian. It uses the same AI programming that they're using for Trico in the game. I don't know where the sensors were in that giant screen, but it was so awesome. You could walk up to him and you would wave, and he'd come over and he'd look at you and he'd yell or whatever you want to call that sound, and then the gates would open and he'd lean up against the gate, and it was so beautiful and so awesome. You could say that this is the first playable instance of The Last Guardian, and that's why it's my favorite thing at TGS.
This is my sixth TGS, so the spectacle of all the lights and the Japanese craziness doesn't really affect me anymore. What does affect me, though, is playing cool games, and Tokyo Game Show is obviously all about the games. So playing stuff like Metal Gear Online for the first time, even though it's out in a month, I was still stoked to play it. Street Fighter V, getting to play the new characters and being, one of the first people to do that is really great. Playing Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne, the old hunters, for the first time ever. Rocking up to the Star Wars Battlefront stage, even though they weren't showing a new demo, 64 people coming out on stage to like shoot each other on Hoth was awesome. So TGS is all about the games. For me.